Welcome to the School of Moxie podcast. I'm your host, Mary Williams. This season, we're talking about one thing. My business pays for my life. We're not talking about side hustles or someday dreams. We're talking about businesses that actually pay for your life. So your rent and your mortgage, your health insurance premium, the whole kit and caboodle. The thing you are not going to get today in this episode, you are not going to hear my guest read their resume at you for 15 minutes. We're skipping the highlight reel and going straight to the good stuff. We're talking about timelines and trade-offs and the money conversations that not enough people are talking about out loud, but we're about to do it here on this show. If you want to know all the details about who this person is and what they do, that's what the show notes are for. Go check them out. Follow their links. Please support their work because you don't really get to know somebody from just one episode. You get to know them by showing up for their work day after day. That's what they've done for their own communities, and it's what I'm asking you to do for them. All right, let's get into it. I feel like you are the bridge in my world from how School of Moxie first season originally was the activity that made me realize I was going to start a studio. And now we're in the studio recording, and you are my first signed and contracted talent that I am managing in the studio.
Oh, that is poetic.
Ta-da!
And also, with enthusiastic and informed consent, step on me. Use me as that bridge.
I love it. I love it. As you know, everyone who comes onto the show, we talk about a movie or a TV show. This season, everyone who's coming on is talking about their comfort show or the comfort movie, but you and I have a slightly different plan because also your story, which is the reason why I asked you to come on here to talk about my business pays for my life. Your story, I think, is highly, highly relatable. And I'm also hoping that you serve as a bridge for somebody else listening to the whole season, so that they realize that you can start over at any time. You can make it happen. It's going to be so good.
I am beyond excited. I'm trying to keep a straight face because there's so much I want to say. But, you know, this podcast episode could go on for hours.
It could go on for hours, but it's not going to go on for hours.
I know.
In your brand, Desires Laid Bare, which we are rebooting here in the studio, and we're going to talk about that through our conversation today. But the really big thing that got you to rebooting Desires Laid Bare is some pretty big life stuff. You are definitely a little different than all the rest of the guests this season. You were in a 10-year relationship. You had somebody taking care of you more or less for about a decade, and now you're not with him anymore, and girl, you pay for your life. And you and I were talking before we hit record, and you were like, well, but I don't know, because like the business isn't like fully paying for it yet. And I was like, there is no one else who is supporting you in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, your business pays for your life. I think it's really important that people understand that. And when you first started, well, we agreed on your contract and we were like, let's start recording. And then you had been involved with another dom, and then you guys broke up and you were kind of devastated. And I was like, you can't create from a place of fight or flight or devastation. You've got to find joy. And I assigned you homework, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So do you have one of your homeworks that you particularly love that you would like to start with and explain what it does for you and perhaps what it might reveal about like your values and your leadership style?
You assigned me 3 shows, and they all became my
Technically,
comfort.
there's a 4th.
Well, yeah, but for the sake of this podcast episode not becoming 10 hours long, let's stick with those 3. And it's really hard to choose which is the best because they all have different aspects as to why they are a comfort show. But if I was to talk about pure comfort, I think I would have to start with Ted Lasso because that is such a wholesome show that I immediately started rewatching. So this was assigned to me before the whole breakup happened, the second rebound breakup. And so the fact that I pulled for that as the show to watch during like the first few days of the breakup, I think we should just start with that because the other one is Hacks, and spoiler alert, the other one after that is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
And the one you haven't gotten to yet is younger.
Yes. So we'll get there. But I feel like we should start talking about Ted Lasso first, simply because that was the first show you recommended me, and it was the show I reached for post-breakup.
What do you think Ted Lasso did for you?
The way that he accepts people for whom they are, who they are. Like, we all have wounds. We all have issues. We all have this persona that we're supposed to carry in the world, in quotes, right? He sees through all of that. Ted Lasso saw through all of that and just chose to focus on the goodness that we all brought, not for what we did, but who we are. And for me, being Asian.
Yeah. Girl, we could have a whole podcast just on being Asian girlies in business.
Like, listen, you're right. It did heal something in me that, oh my gosh, I didn't have to perform to be wanted, to be loved, to be desired, that I was enough. Like, just saying that, I know it sounds so freaking cheesy, but it's like to live a life where you are consistently performing and hoping for someone to affirm you or to validate you, and to see that Ted as a coach was focused on making people better, not as athletes, but as better people. Oh my God, that was so great. And I think there was a lot about leading with curiosity that was how I naturally as a person live life, ask questions, experience other people. And to see that mirrored back towards me in such a wholesome way that is Ted Lasso was great. And oh my gosh, all the character arcs too. I think like growth and second chances and seeing like the best of people. I just knew that it was just going to be really wholesome, and also helped me ask a lot of questions as to what I wanted in life. And now that I am now single for the first time in my life, like truly single since I was 15, it's like, okay, if we lead through this curiosity lens, what is possible? What narratives or conditionings have I been carrying and living with that I can set down?
I love that Ted Lasso, one of his catchphrases is be curious, not judgmental. And I think of all my friends, you have got to be one of the least judgmental people I have ever met in my entire life. It is one of your most beautiful qualities. And I think like you getting the coaching back to you that you needed was so important. And I think it's why the show is so popular, because I was telling you when you first sat down to watch it that it originally debuted during COVID. So everyone's in lockdown, and then here drops season 1 Ted Lasso. And everyone's, in the pit of despair. And then they start watching Ted Lasso and they're like, oh my gosh, like I really needed that. And I think there's something really great about having a show that you can go back to. You've rewatched a whole bunch of episodes since then.
Yeah. So after the breakup, because the episodes are so short, right? So I think I must have watched it in a week or two the first time around. And so I just put it on play. Like,
You did get through it real fast.
I just got through it fast the second time too, because it's just so easy to watch. And I just love the character development.
Yeah.
All the characters arced so well.
Yes. And there's very healthy female character development and the way they support each other.
Yes.
It's sadly one of the few show examples that we have where women really actually support other women. But the other shows that I assigned you have that example too.
Oh my gosh, should we talk about them really quick?
Yes.
Okay.
Please do.
Because I think then the second show you recommended me, like Hacks, I think it is now at the top of my favorite to watch shows. Like, it's not comforting at all. It is comforting in the sense that this is the journey that I want to go on with you. You are my Jimmy in this show. You are also in a way my Ava, except we're not we still have yet to get into bed together.
Oh my God.
May we make so much money together we can have separate hotel rooms.
Oh my God. I love how the fandom shipped Ava and Deborah together so hard. And then they finally gave them that in an episode in the last season. And it was the best thing ever.
Okay, to be fair, I did watch the Montecito episode a few days ago. So that's my comfort episode.
Yeah, you do watch that episode a lot because it's really good.
It's so good. And there was the most autistic answer ever when they were like, yeah, we do shibari. She hangs me up from the ceiling. And then Leslie Bibb's like, oh, we know Sia. I'm like, oh my God, that is so me. I would totally say that. But that show, it's comforting in the sense that it was really real.
Yeah.
like success. Like it was never about Deborah being good or not. She was always good throughout the entire show, whether or not some of her jokes age well or not. But it was more like the through line was she was always good, but everything was pulling her back. The system of how the entertainment industry was, the comfort of her audience. Like she had to dim herself down a lot until Ava changed her and challenged her to be different. So it wasn't about her talent. And so for me, I think the comfort was just to see that it is realistic to struggle. And just because you've made it doesn't mean that it's just going to be a coasting ride the rest of your career or whatnot.
No, it's not. Also, God bless Jimmy.
God bless Jimmy and Kayla.
I know. When you pointed it out, I was like, oh my God, I'm Jimmy. I'm Jimmy.
You're Jimmy.
I'm Bobby from K-Pop Demon Hunters. I'm Jimmy from Hacks. And I'm Susie from The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And I had never connected the dots.
You are Susie through and through. The good parts of Susie.
Yes, not the gambling parts of Susie. Thank God.
Hence why I made that caveat. So yes. So from Hacks, so I'll finish that part up. Like from Hacks, it was just so comforting to watch somebody who thought she was at the top of her game continue to soar even higher because she did not know what she did not know. Yeah. And I'm kind of in that same place now where I have gotten to this point in my life with Desires Laid Bare by myself when I started this business and YouTube channel at the ripe old year of 2017. Yeah. And then I abandoned it for a few reasons. And then now I'm like, okay, I don't even know it's possible. And here you come in. You're like, we could do this, we could do that, and we could do all of this. And oh my God, look at these things. And it's like, holy fucking shit, like, let's fucking go.
Yeah, connecting the dots. Yeah, I like that Hacks, through a very fun medium of watching a TV show, you get to recognize how much the world has changed and it will continue to change. And that whatever it is that you create and you make, you will have to change with the change.
Yep.
And that is what Deborah had to learn how to do. And she does it better, not alone.
I love that so much.
You know?
It's really hard to talk about how life-changing it has been to have you in my life as a friend.
No, friend.
To start with.
Yeah.
Like, we wouldn't have the relationship we do as brand manager, talent manager to talent, right? If we didn't have that baseline of friendship. And like to see how many people rally behind Ted or the soccer team or Deborah and Ava and the whole team that supports her, or even the team that supports, when Jimmy was doing his con where he met the Xena fan.
Yes.
Right? So it's like support and community is everything. And you don't go at it alone. And so, you, amongst other people, have been such a huge support in my life that, even though I'm single for the first time and the rebound breakup made me feel this immense terror in my body for the first 10 minutes, I was like, oh my God, I am alone. And then once those emotions passed, I'm like, no, I am not alone.
No.
I actually have an incredible support group of amazing friends who actually have my back. And it's just not just here for lip service. Y'all here. You live right now next door to me. So maybe one of the core things in my life, because I haven't really talked about my core values enough lately, audited it. I always knew that efficiency was one of them and integrity. But I wonder if there's something around community or people. So I'll noodle on that some more. But
I feel like it is. Because then you headed into The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Oh my gosh.
And that is an ensemble show. So first of all, it's not a star, it's an ensemble. And they do not exist alone, and they're not as good if they're not with each other. And I would watch spinoffs of all the secondary, tertiary characters, as we have discussed, which we will not spend all this podcast episode talking about. But what I'm wondering is, now we're into the third show, and that one there are long episodes, and there's a lot of seasons, and you watch the whole thing, And I'm wondering, like, at this point, when you start watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel and you start getting towards the end, what do you think that these stories are revealing about your values and your leadership style, or like the brand that you're trying to build, maybe your approach to business? Like, what are they showing you?
Everybody needs a Susie. But what was really interesting, so I'm going to ramble through this because it just came up, was that as Midge's career took off, it was as if her personal life got more and more chaotic. It was not that easy story of, oh, look, here's her career taking off and becoming famous. Do you see the theme that you were giving me in terms of the show? It was like prep work.
I know. It's almost like I had a plan.
Oh my God. But like, I was just so surprised that her personal life didn't get any better. But it's also because she was leaving a life that people wanted her to live according to what they believed was important.
She also...
And I saw parallels in my life.
Yes. She also lived in the show was set in a time period.
Sure.
So the character lived in a time period where there is great change happening around women and their experiences in the world. And we are living through a time period like that now. Not to like overbeat the whole like AI discussion, because we're not going to talk about that on this podcast episode. But that is a reality of what we live in right now. The economy is hella crunchy in Trump's economy. And we have technological innovation happening again. It is disrupting the marketplace again. It is not the first time that we have lived through this in our lives, but it is definitely like the most fast-paced and the most disruptive. And it's forcing people to really figure out like, who are you? What is your voice? What are you here to do?
What do you stand for?
What do you stand for?
Yeah.
And you are rebooting your brand Desires Laid Bare right now. And that is all you do in your brand is figure out how to be your most authentic self so you can show up and find pleasure. And I mean, girl, could you be better?
Why I'm giving you this look right now? Because so before filming this podcast episode, everyone, do you know how much I had to learn how to dial down my energy? And Mary is laughing right now because I kept thinking I didn't have enough like oomph or enthusiasm, and the look on your face. So yes, like it's really about finding who you are. And maybe what if you were performing this whole time? And yes, I understand, like you said, when I'm on stage, I need to be a different way. I need to turn that up. But then when I'm in front of a microphone like this, it's different, right? So it's not always 100% on all the time. When you said what you said, I'm like, yeah, this is why I'm making this face. Because for the last hour and a half, you were making me take after take to find who I am, like stripped of all performative stereotypes or beliefs.
Yeah, we don't need to perform. You don't need to perform. Our best customers want to connect with us because you have figured out how to show up in front of them without all the bullshit. And there's so much bullshit that we learn in entrepreneurship. And also, I would like to say that for our graduating class of entrepreneurship that we come from the last decade, there has definitely been like an influencer tone. And there has been so much that has shifted and changed because we went from like shitty little Apple earbuds to like, you've got to have this full blown out Marie Forleo set and scripts by Sunny Lenarduzzi and all the things, right? And that's just not how people want you to show up. You need to sound good. You need to look good, or confident at least. And you need to have something worth hearing about. And people will forgive you for not being, in quotes, like Hollywood perfect. And you're learning to show up not as like, oh, this is how everyone was doing it. It's like, no, this is how Veronica is today. And I feel like all these characters do that. Like Ted Lasso does that. He goes to London and he starts coaching a British football team, and he learns how to be him. He never stops being Ted Lasso. He's still corny as hell, and but he learns how to be himself. And then you went into Hacks and you watched Deborah Vance learn how to be herself in a new era where she really needed to refine the way she communicates. It's like her values were never not there, but she really needed Ava to be like, hey, lady, you know? And so the two stubborn personalities having to come together. And then you've got the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, where Midge is going through a rather tumultuous historical time period. And here she is, a woman daring to get on a mic when people are getting arrested for free speech.
Yeah.
And, you know, and she's learning to show up as who she is. And then pretty soon here, you'll do your homework and you'll watch Younger, and you will be like, oh, this was like a whole syllabus. So like somebody else who's listening to this episode who might be identifying with you, I hope that they go and they follow the syllabus and start with Ted Lasso and then move into Hacks and then go to Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. That'll be a big meal. That's the entree. It's a lot to swallow. And then the dessert is Younger.
Okay.
And because Younger is like Ted Lasso. It's short episodes, very like fast and bingeable.
These two shows are the first shows that literally made me feel uncomfortable, where I paused for a little bit. And I know you have so much to say, and I want to hear you say it because I don't want to butcher it. But just know that like I paused because it was uncomfortable, because maybe I was relating and it was mirroring me so much. Not that I throw temper tantrums, I think. Who knows? But like,
girl, no.
But it was just the unprofessionalism. Like, you've been given this opportunity, and now because you are being taken care of by your mom, your dad, and your husband and your parents-in-law, like, you can go be that temper tantrum person and still be okay because you are being taken care of.
Yeah.
But anyways, I was uncomfortable and I told you all about it. And then you have this theory and I want you to share it.
Yeah, the theory is that you are watching a show. It is the lowest stakes experience, but we watch stories like this because we engage with entertainment because they make us feel something. That's the whole point. It's an emotional experience. So when it triggers emotions like this and you get really uncomfortable, that is your time to stop, drop, and roll. And it's like, yes, maybe you pause for a minute to reflect, but ask yourself, this is low stakes. Where am I doing this in my business when things like this come up? And it doesn't have to be the same situation as what you're seeing in the script that's playing out with the actors on the screen. But if they are having conflict and you're like, oh my God, I'm really uncomfortable, I think I need to run away right now. And it's like, where are you running away in your business when a similar feeling emotion comes up, and how is that hurting your growth and what you're trying to do?
And so if you don't know how to handle those emotions, like you said, in a low stakes entertainment show, for God's sakes, it's like, okay, what are you going to do in your business when the economy goes crunchy, as you said, or your entire client base pulls out for whatever the heck reason? Or
I mean, we're seeing that right now, and the world is very crunchy right now, and we're watching a lot of people act like they've paused the TV, which is unfortunate because there's a lot of really good people with some really great gifts that could make the world amazing.
So that was something I really wanted to share, that it was such a surprise that I could feel so uncomfortable watching those two shows that I hit pause.
Yeah.
Never, ever have experienced that before. So thank you. I found an edge. Maybe it's going into my soft limits section for the future, but I guess I am a masochist a little bit. So, but yeah, what does Maisel say about my leadership style or all of this stuff? I feel like there's a theme here that I'm very much let's do it together. Like, nothing is beneath me. I'm not this hierarchy, like org chart type of leader where it's like I'm above you. We do it together. We do it with community. And I lead with curiosity. I ask more questions than I make statements, because I really wanted to know, did you mean what you said, or did you just have a bad day and you said something and I took it the wrong way? Like, what you say A and what I take B is different. So curiosity, thank you, Ted Lasso, still wins out.
Also, can I just say that to plug our B2B workshop that we are currently outlining and about to offer, you just demonstrated the kink communication style that is going into a management leadership training that we've been developing as part of your Desires Laid Bare brand. And it shows up in the things you love watching or the way you discover something about yourself through the things that you watch. And you figured all this out in the course of doing something that brought you joy instead of just trying to force yourself to muscle your way through and be like, it's shit right now. I have to do it. I'm going to do it. And it was like, no, take a break, watch faster. Damn it. I sent you so many text messages.
Oh my gosh.
Those will probably go in some of the promo things for this episode because I kept texting you. You would text me and you would say like, especially you'd be like, oh my gosh, this thing is, it's really hard. I'm taking a break. And I was like, no, stick with it. Watch faster, damn it. Also because I need to talk about this with you. But like, watch faster. And there's so many text messages that just say, watch faster, watch faster.
In all caps.
In all caps.
And so when I just type in watch faster to my text message search, it's just all you. Except, okay, I had one where it was me where I said, I know, watch faster. But it's just all you. And what did you say? You're like, yeah, your therapist is probably saying, my trauma is getting replaced.
I gave you exposure therapy. Well, let's move into some of our discussion that everybody else who's been on this season has also been chatting about. Your experience obviously is going to be a little bit different in some of these. But I really want to start with, you're watching all these shows, you're going through life. At what point did you realize essentially that your business really was paying for your life? Was it just before we hit record when you were like, oh yeah, it is paying for my life? Or did you recognize it sooner?
I recognized it the moment my partner and I broke up. Because before rebooting Desires Laid Bare, so we broke up April of 2025. And so this conversation about Desires Laid Bare stuff doesn't happen until later. So then by that time, my other business Laid Bare, the operations consultancy, went gangbusters over COVID.
Yes.
And so I was paying for the mortgage. I was contributing, and we made enough money for me to basically set aside like savings, right? I called it my cash stash account. It was a high yield or high interest savings account, basically, that I could just store our profits and stuff. If we needed to pull for taxes and stuff, it'd always be there, or for whatever we wanted to do. The moment that we broke up, I was like, oh, I got this. Like, I got this chunk of change with me.
You had a little bit of fuck you money.
Yeah. I was supposed to get a little bit more, but when you are nice, and this is why divorce lawyers are so helpful, I guess, because I felt like my kindness fucked me over by not putting things in paper because I didn't want to have more shit put on his plate because he was dealing with many personal issues. He decided to not give me the money that he said he was going to give me on top of what I already had. Mm-hmm. So here's me realizing that, oh my God, in 2025, April of 2025, this is it. And now it is July of 2026.
Look at you.
And I'm still here. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I knew the day we broke up.
Do you feel like something changed when you realized that your business became responsible for supporting your life?
Oh, 100%. Emotional safety has been something that I have been reckoning with. Because for so many people, and I'm learning, it's not the amount of money that's in that cash stash, because I have friends who are like, yeah, I had $100 to my name, to my bank account when my husband and I divorced, and I was fine. I absolutely had so much more than that.
Yeah, you did. I told you my story. I was like, girl, you were, remember, because you were nervous, understandably so. And I was like, what I would have given my right arm to have had that cash stash. And when I had to start all over again, I was scraping pennies off the floor. And I was like, if I can do it like that, girl, you got this.
So it's not the number in the bank account, I'm learning. So that emotional safety, and that's what I traded it for, was that like, oh my gosh, I need to figure out, how do I make myself feel safe? And that is not something I ever had to worry about or think about or go through therapy about, because it was provided for me, that safety.
Well, now that you have moved through that time period, do you feel like you work more than some of your peers?
This is a really hard question because I never feel like I'm working hard enough.
That's the Asian experience in us, I'm afraid to say, which is why we're friends.
Because like, I know we're not supposed to compare, but like, so when I was going through my burnout period, or you would be telling me all the things that you're doing, I was like, damn, that's like 4-cylinder Mary right there. You must be at like 8 now or something.
No, I mean, I feel like I'm at maybe 3.
And I just felt like such a lazy slob. And I'm like, I don't feel excited to do any of my work. I went through a year plus of hell before the breakup. I was so burnt out. And so the guilt that I felt for not working. And then I'm also now, when I am working, I'm just like, oh, I only clocked like 3 hours today, but my output is pretty darn high. And I'm like, fuck this. I guess I've just stopped comparing.
You get to stop comparing.
But do I think I work enough? No. Do I think I work harder than other people? No. It's the honest answer.
You will pump out work so much, which is a big reason why when we were negotiating, should I manage you as talent? Like, should I manage your brand in here? And one of the biggest hell fucking yes on my end was, this woman knows how to fucking work. And I was like, yeah, we can do this. We can do this. So I will just add that little penny to your jar. I know the jar is still largely empty, but I'm going to keep adding pennies to it. Okay, I have a question that I've asked every single person this entire season because I'm trying to feel better about my health insurance premium. I'm asking everybody, what do you currently pay for health insurance each month, and how does it influence your business decisions? I know what your answer is. I'm just going to tell you, because you haven't heard all the other people who've already been on before you. You are not alone in this. So would you like to share what you pay for health insurance?
Yeah, after knowing what you pay for your insurance, I'm like, oh, fuck me. And again, transparency, because what do I have to hide? It's like, thank you, the state of Washington, because again, no business was coming in after I was so burnt out that I was able to take advantage of the subsidies. And so right now, I think the number is $172 and maybe like 42 cents. So let's just say $172.
Oh, I'm so fucking jealous.
I look forward to paying it in full, like not needing any of the support. So again, man, we should just start adding all the issues that we have that are like because of our Asianness. But
right.
If I didn't have that subsidy, it would probably be $600.
Still pretty good.
At least
For
the
like
one
a
that I chose.
For like a silver plan?
Yes. And this silver plan is chosen because I built my health insurance around my therapist.
I have heard a wide range of answers in the course of this season, but I think it's important that we talk about issues like this, because when you are trying to get to those milestones of like, my business pays for my life, I'm going to skip around in our questions a little bit, but one of the questions is if your business suddenly lost 50% of its revenue tomorrow, what would you do first? And I think that there's a lot of people that we know in entrepreneurship, and a lot of people who we don't know who are probably listening to this, and you know, they want to hit certain milestones. And if you live in a dual income household, and let's say your spouse is providing you with some really great W-2 subsidized health insurance, bless, you might end up in a situation, which a lot of people have had, where that spouse gets laid off, and then now it's, oh, hey, now look, my business is really doing something, but I've got this like actually really important bill that is going to need to be covered. What are we going to do? And so hearing what other people are paying can help you start to prepare and make sure that you don't get caught with your pants down.
Yeah. Unconsensually.
Unconsensually. It's really bad. That's really bad that happened. So if your business suddenly lost 50% of its revenue tomorrow, what would you do first?
So knowing that my business lost 100% of its revenue because I fully decided to choose family and caretaking, well, I chose it because it was the easiest thing to not have to argue about. Right? So when I say I chose it, it was kind of like I had to. So losing 100% of business meant that, yes, no money was coming in. So what do I do now is start dialing up all the people that I know, because that's what happened. I started reaching out through my CRM. Like, I texted people, I called people, I emailed people, especially past clients. And if past clients had work for me or could recommend me to other people, or just start figuring out all the coffee chats that I had, I basically just started doing so much outreach.
Yeah. Outreach really is where it's at.
Outreach. To the point where I was getting sick of myself.
We all feel that way. Yes. I think if you're not tired of hearing yourself reach out to people, you're not doing it right. You know, it's just like marketing. If you're not sick of your own messaging, you're not doing enough of it. You're not doing it right. So yeah, I think that watching you go through that is also partly what led to us, creating a talent and management contract, because you start getting creative. You're like, wait, but what else? And then what happened is you and I were sitting down at the Makoto Sushi Buffet.
Shout out.
Shout out. Second office. And you were like the economy is slow, contracts are slow.
Nobody wants to pay for operations.
It's a slow market in the studio. The larger projects have also been slower. The one-to-many, the less expensive membership has been so much easier to grow. It's just where we're at right now in the cycle, right? But you were telling me about your woes, and I was commiserating with your woes. And then
you asked me a fateful question.
Yeah, I did.
You said,
this is our meet cute.
Well, so many meet cutes. But yeah, you said, do you have any experience selling to consumers?
Mm-hmm. And you said, oh, didn't I tell you? And I said, no, you did not tell me. And then you told me about Desires Laid Bare, and you told me a bit about the YouTube channel. And you said you only had 2,300 subscribers. And I was like, that is nothing to sneeze at. Like, that is quite an accomplishment. And so I wiped the crab legs juice off my fingers, and I pulled out my phone, opened up YouTube to go search for Desires Laid Bare. And I was like, I'll give you some support. I'll hit subscribe, right?
Yeah.
And then I turned the phone to you and I was like, girl, what the fuck is this? I was like, it says 16,500 subscribers. And you were like, no, it doesn't. And I swear to the you have a picture of my face because you snapped one. You were so smart to do it. And then we started talking about, what the hell is Desires Laid Bare? Where did this come from? How did that stop? And it brought up so many things, and it turns out that you really weren't done with it, and that there's so much business in it, and that it grew on its own with no new videos. The people are in the comments managing themselves for 3 years plus.
8 years.
8 years, pardon me. 8 years, all on their own. And, to your credit, because you understand ops and SEO, you built it very smartly in its original inception. And, and this was one of the things when we finally dove into all the analytics, you and I were both like, well, holy shit, I think this thing could really fly.
Well, you said, actually, before you said that, you did the thing that shook me to my bones. You tisked me.
The Asian mother test. Should have a whole ASMR that's just.
Oh my God! I felt it to my bone marrow. She was like, Mary was like, you just. I can't even keep my face like straight anymore. You were like, you've kept this from me this whole time. Look on your face, the disappointment. I snapped a photo.
Emotional damage.
I'm like, and I don't even think, maybe you paid for dinner that night. Oh, thank goodness. Because what the fuck, right? Like, the least you could do after tisking me like that was pay for my dinner.
I think if you bought the one pre.
So yeah, for a channel to be completely abandoned because it was so hard because memberships were the thing back then.
Yes.
To get people to convert to a $10 a month membership was just so hard. And then somebody was like, oh, I'll pay you like $4,000 a month to do my operations. Mm-hmm. Sold. So that's why I stopped posting and engaging. And when you were like, yeah, you're not done.
You're not done.
You're not done.
No.
Here are actually other ways in which we can grow it just beyond a B2C business. It's not just teaching kink to beginners and the curious. You're like, we could do like a B2B arm because you're so amazing at having difficult conversations. Mary, you just kept saying that to me over and over, even before Desires Laid Bare was even in your periphery. Yeah. And so it's like, wow. Now we're going back to Deborah, right? She thought she was on top with her residency. Mm-hmm. The heights that she went to at the end of the show. It's like, this is why I'm like, this show is so good. Like, this is where I'm at. I don't know what I don't know until the right people come into my life.
Yes. Isn't that so true?
And then what did you do after that? You said, okay, I know you have ADHD, your dopamine's running. So what we're going to do, we're not going to touch it. And what do we want most? The things that we can't have. So I had to wait patiently while she spoke at this stupid little conference called South by Southwest.
I was like, I'm busy. Please hold.
Well, I fed your cats. And
Oh my God, they love their Auntie Veronica.
I love them too. And Mary, you made me wait it out. You made me ride that dopamine wave.
Yes.
And then you're like, come back to me. Well, let me come back after the conference. And if you still want to do this, we'll talk.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I still wanted to do it. Yeah. And then you also said to me, you're like, because I said, oh, I'm so good at rationalizing why something's not going to work. I should get a gold medal for this.
You really should.
I'm like, what if this was all a fluke? What if my time has passed? What if this was all a fluke because the channel's now petering out? And you said, well, one, let's go to your analytics tonight. Like, send me some screenshots before you invite me in. And then two, you said, what goes up when the world goes to shit? And I'm like, I don't know.
Things that make you feel good.
Pleasure. Romance, smut.
Yeah. Kink.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kink curious people right now.
And so when you then made me go look at my YouTube analytics, you're like, so how can 240 views in the last 48 hours alone, and it consistently did that, tell me that it's just a fluke again, Veronica?
When you're doing absolutely nothing in there and you still have that. Well, now that you are doing everything, do you feel like you've given anything up in order to build this business?
I gave up a false sense of security. I gave up that cushy life that somebody was taking care of me at a price. I didn't know that my partner is narcissistic. I didn't know how much I was being controlled. I didn't know how much I was losing my sense of self and my autonomy and my identity. And yes, we were in a dom sub 24/7 dynamic. Yeah. And even when the world changed during COVID, even when he became a grandfather, when his mom moved in with us with moderate to severe dementia? Yeah. I still continued to serve. I still continued to work. I still continued to run a business. It was like I was pouring from a bone dry cup.
Yes.
And so all of that was for what? Security, house, trips that we would go on, groceries. It sounds great. Insurance. Oh, tech insurance. Oh, tech insurance is sexy. It's the best insurance. Like, seriously, all of that stuff was available to me. We drove a really nice car, but I was not happy. And so, yeah, that's what I gave up. I gave up pretending. I gave up burnout. I gave up all that stuff of how I was supposed to be to now living a life for me.
Yeah, a life that you actually are in control of. Mm-hmm. Yes. So
like security at what cost is what you were saying earlier.
There is a cost to everything. Free is a price. Mm-hmm. It's really the most expensive price you'll ever pay is free. So you've told us a little bit about what's easier now. Is there a business expense that nobody warned you about?
Nobody ever talks to you about like the boring expenses, like the cost it took me personally to domesticate a business from one state to another.
Yes, you did move states.
Yes, I did move states, which is why we're neighbors. Mm-hmm. And that costs money. To close down a business is $100 some odd here. To do other things is like hundreds of dollars add up on the closing side. And then on the domesticating, like new business side, you got to add hundreds of dollars more to, yeah, that was such a surprise. So all in all, I think I paid almost close to $700.
Well, that's more than I thought, but
to move, to close down. Nothing is free. Everything is, you want to dissolve the LLC from Oregon? It's $100. Mm-hmm. So it's like,
yeah.
But in order to dissolve that, you have to make sure that your business license is up to date. So I'm glad mine was, because if it wasn't, then you'd have to reactivate your business just to then dissolve it. And that itself is like $100 itself. So yeah.
But these are the things that make you legitimate and end up saving you down the line, because the number of people I have coached in my coaching years who have ended up with back tax problems is a lot.
Yep.
It is a lot. What do you think that many entrepreneurs misunderstand about becoming fully self-supporting through their business? You've just gone through this experience.
Yeah, I think they misunderstand that they have to do it alone because entrepreneurship can be a very lonely journey. It is a very lonely journey if that is the mindset that you have. And in a way it is, because if you are, say, surrounded by people who work 9-to-5 jobs, I'm just generalizing, then yeah, it is very lonely. And I think a lot of people are resigned that they need to stay in that situation. And so for me, I know that I do best when I'm around people.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the one thing that I hear all the time, that like entrepreneurship is so lonely. People don't get it. And it's like, then find people that do.
Yeah.
And like without my friends, without you, I don't think I would be where I am today, to be quite honest.
You really cannot do it alone.
I mean, I know hyper-independence is one of my trauma responses and stuff, but it's like,
I think there's a difference between hyper-independence, though, and self-reliance and the ability to take something to the finish line. And in our pop therapy on meta products, name the channel, right? There's so much conversation around hyper-independence. I have a whole theory on that will become like a conspiracy theory episode, but I feel like the whole trad wife movement and a lot of the conservatism that is trying to put women back into a very conservative leaning box wants you to believe that your self-reliance is hyper-independence and that is an unhealthy response. You cannot do it alone. But there's a difference between getting help and then becoming dependent on people.
oh, that's so good.
And so you figure out that the gray zone and that fine line with your therapist and with good coaches who are not just trying to tell you to be something, and with friends that you trust so you can compare experiences, right? But yeah, do we have some hyper independence? Of course. Of course. I am an elder millennial. The sun was setting on Gen X when I was born. And like everything I remember is millennial. And I mean, I am a fucking dinosaur in this era. And I'm like, do you know how many recessions I have lived through?
Oh no, another world, once in a lifetime.
Another once in a lifetime, unprecedented something, right? It's like if my ability to pick myself up, dust my booty off, and keep going is considered hyper independence, you know what? I'll take that.
Fair. But to always think that you're going to be alone because no one understands you, it's like, that's a choice.
That's a choice. That is most definitely a choice. Yeah. I've been having some very interesting personal journaling sessions recently where I've been discovering how much I'm looking for peers. It's one thing to have community, but to have peers means they understand your experience and you can actually grow and build together. And after getting the keys to the studio here, and you have been a wonderful peer and holding space for me in that. But I have discovered like, wow, my life is very different than when I just had a home office, borderline freelance type service-based business. Mm-hmm. Like this is founder life. I have never been this busy in my life. I have never had this much cash on the line. I've never had this much resources. There is so much on the line, and I'm just like, holy fuck, most of the days. And you're just like,
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, you're like, you can do it. And I'm like, can we get more crab legs, please? Mm-hmm. Because I got a juicy question.
Okay.
What are business programs, coaches, and communities not talking about enough that keeps people stuck in dependency patterns? Because I feel like this is what holds people back from being fully self-sufficient, whether you have a dual income household or not, but or at least just to reach the goal that you have in your business. Whenever I hear people not getting there and they're like in a loop, it's a dependency pattern. So what do you think that these programs and coaches and communities are not talking about enough?
Operations.
Yes.
Seriously.
Preach.
I have seen so many accelerator programs, group programs, business programs. I have seen so many of the things that teaches you how to build a business or do this. They never talk about operations. And your operations is literally the how. that makes your what? Your mission statement, your goals, all of that stuff come to life. That reliance on people and yourself. It's like, even though we talk about automations and software and operations, it's like, it's not about that. It's literally about creating an intentional way of operating or doing the work. Even if it's 100% people, it's like, there's got to be a process. There's got to be predictability, dependability. And so when your operations are something of an afterthought or something you just check because you're like, oh, I did my operations.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you don't one night stand your operations. It's like a long-term relationship where you got to go to therapy and audit each other and do all that good stuff, because it's that foundation, that infrastructure that's going to be able to hold. Because if you're building your business on, like, say, straws or a house of cards or whatever people want to say, and then suddenly everyone's like, what's the number one or number two goal? Actually, the top three things people want in business, especially founders, is like more revenue, more profit, and to pay themselves more, to pay some. It's something to do with money. And so they're like, yeah, I want to like scale my business. Now I'm just like getting on this soapbox because I hear this all the time. Like, I want to scale my business 5 times, 10 times, or whatever. It's like, okay, if you're currently serving 5 clients and your business goes 5x, that means now you have 25 clients and they all come tomorrow, which is possible because someone can refer you. You go viral on a social media platform. It's all possible.
Yep.
And then what happens to your business and you when that 5x comes?
I so wish we had met during COVID when I had my mastermind. You and I would have conquered all the spaces together, because I used to say the same thing.
It's like, if you just think about it, that whole like 10X book or any of the stuff that people talk about.
Yes.
You can't grow without operations.
No, you really can't. I love reminding people who are old enough to remember Oprah when she still had her TV show, and she had her annual holiday, Oprah's Favorite Things. And in the very beginning of those years, she would just pick her favorite things and then put them on the TV show. And then she had her magazine. They would go in the magazine. And she put so many businesses out of business because their operations were not capable of scaling. And while that is a big ask to scale that quickly, it is possible. But if you never think about it, and you never prepare anything to be flexible enough to accommodate that. It's like our friend Megan and I, we went to an e-commerce panel, I think last summer, and it was all hot sauce makers here in Portland. And one of them had gotten on Hot Ones. Her sauce was featured. God. And she was so adamant in her operations about clinging to like an old model. She really wasn't able to scale up. And, you know, and there are so many stories of this that happen, and it's such a shame. It's like you don't have to reach for some huge number. Not everybody in this world wants to be a billionaire. Did you hear that, Elon? Not everybody wants to be a billionaire. But we are in business because we're trying to make money. The business is part of the capitalist society that we live in. And so, you know, if you're not thinking about where the money comes from and where it's going to, which is operations, then problem.
Yeah. And when you get that 5X business and you 5X the amount of products now that you have to send out or clients that you work with, what's going to happen to your business? Is it going to fold under that pressure because now everybody's stretched thin? Or are you going to then create a terrible business culture where it's like, no matter what, we get it done? Or even worse, your clients and customers are going to have a shitty experience with you. And we know that user-generated content or referrals are the best ways to get business. Yeah. And when you have a terrible onboarding experience or a new customer experience, you're not going to be like, oh, hey, go buy this.
Sounds like a kink negotiation gone bad.
So that I will now step back down from my soapbox. I yield the rest of my time. My prepared comments are done.
Tell me about a bill that you are weirdly proud to pay.
My credit card bill in full. And you have taught me about the importance of leverage. I will just say that you taught me to shift my mindset in terms of debt. Yeah. And that not all debt is bad. Debt can be leveraged. But one of the things that I'm very proud about paying is that my business, because it funded my life and still funds my life, I can still buy things and know that I'm not living beyond of my means.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
my credit card bill.
I have never known a dude bro who has not used loans or debt leverage in order to scale. And I think it's unfortunate that our female-leaning spaces like to sell us a picture of debt-free everything, which honestly, in my opinion, makes me feel a lot more like women are being encouraged to depend upon their greatest investor, which might be their husband. This is the last question that we are finishing every episode with. We're going to play Mad Libs. I'm going to have you finish the sentence. The sentence is, my business pays for my life, and that means fill in the blank.
My business pays for my life, and that means my joy and fulfillment no longer depends on another person's permission or approval.
Oh, girl. Well, you just put the period on the end of the sentence for the whole season with that one. That was hot. Love it.
I do well under pressure.
I'm going to remind everybody to go to the show notes. I know that there's more than one person I got to know who Veronica is. So all your info is in there. I'm going to encourage you to click on the links. Please give you a follow on YouTube, especially if you've been reading your smutty romantasy and you're all like, what is this about? Pin me down, tie me up. Like that is covered in Desires Laid Bare and then some. And we also, really love the communication tactics that come out of kink. Nice. Which is really, really healthy.
Are we going to share when Desires Laid Bare is relaunching?
It's relaunching the day that this episode drops.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Well, happy launch day.
Happy launch day to you.
Oh my God. And also sign up for the email list because,
yes.
There are things.
There are things that YouTube will not let you put on that platform, but we can send it out through email. So that's the tease.
Because you own your email list.
Yes. That I will die on that hill. All right. Thank you for coming on. I know this is not the last time we will end up talking. Because you and I are doing so much behind the scenes together and you are very much a part of the studio ecosystem. You will definitely be showing up on the studio's show, which is why this show is ending because Mary can only do so many things at once. And we're out. That's the end.
Did you have fun?
I had so much fun.
I had so much fun.
That's it for this episode of the School of Moxie podcast. This season was produced and edited by me, Mary Williams, through Sensible Woo and now Sasquatch Media Grounds out of Vancouver, Washington. If you're a business owner and you want help building your own media engine, maybe it's your podcast, your YouTube channel, your content, the whole visibility machine, come and subscribe to my emails at sensiblewoo.com/subscribe. I'll show you how it's done and I'll hook you up with the good stuff. See you on the inside.